Black Myth vs Snow White, the two sides of nostalgia. Black Myth Wukong is a very successful game. It took a twist from the famous original story, Journey to the West, while Snow White is a live action from Disney of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs that will be premiered in 2025. So one is a game that took inspiration from one of the greatest and most popular China novel. One is an upcoming live action film that took inspiration from the famous German fairy tale. Both of them are very different from each other, from the genre to the origin, but they are both from the extreme popularity of the source material. And yet, the success of them could not be more different. Although some may say that it is just a guess that the Snow White will definitely fail in 2025, but at this point, with the number of dislikes on its trailer and the drama it came with, the best scenario of the Snow White in 2025 will be even in box office. And that is an extremely generous prediction. Black Myth Wukong, on the other hand, has proved its success when it reached the peak of more than 2 million people like on August 22nd, 2024. So what is the differences? It all came down to the understanding and respecting the source material. As someone who both grew up with watching the 1986 version of Journey to the West and the Disney animated film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, in this case, I enjoyed thoroughly both of them and watched them again many times. So when a Western journalist said that Black Myth Wukong is lack of diversity and does not match the modern standard, I was so disappointed because the person who wrote that had absolutely no idea what they were talking about. Journey to the West, even in the original novel or many different versions of it in film and TV, is never a story about the modern ideology. It is an adventure story where four very different people with very flawed personalities joining together and overcome difficulties and hardship as well as overcome their flaw to reach their destination and achieve recognition at the end. Does it have female character in it? Yes. Does it represent them in a respectful light? Yes. The removing female from the story will damage it? Definitely yes. But is a story about women or diversity? No, it is not. It never is, and it is fine. It is completely fine for it to do that. And I say this not to say that I don't want to have a good story about diversity in it. I want that. But completely butchering and transforming a good story into something it is not, only to satisfy a certain modern ideology, is not the way to go. Not when that story is still so beloved by so many people from all ages and genders. It is childhood precious memories of so many people from my generation in Asia that it should not be tainted by the other side of the world politics. And not to say that Black Myth Wukong is a completely faithful adaptation, but it is, by the end, still capture that same essence of adventure and friendship in both the gameplay and the story. They still pay respect to the lore, the world, the characters, while giving it a good twist without sacrificing the integrity of the story. I can say the same about the Snow White 2025. Let's first discuss what is the easiest thing to see, the visual. It is just not good. Then we have this infamous interview.
You've told me before that your version of Snow White is different and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
And I watched Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs again. I noticed something. The prince, his screen time is only 5 minutes in the whole 1 hour and 22 minutes of the film. that is only about 6% of the movie. The dwarf had a screen time about 46 minutes, about more than 50% of the movie. And even in the title of the 1937 movies is very clear about who is the main character. It is the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And with the prince in the little screen time he has, you could clearly see that the prince is not what the actress said. And I don't blame the actress for saying this, because with the amount of reshoot that Disney is having after receiving the backlash, it is Disney's original idea to advertise the movie this way. So why did Disney feed into this narrative about the prince and the love story to the PR team and everyone involved? It is never the main focus of the 1937 movie. Did the prince and the romance have a big impact of the story? Yes. Will removing it make a dent of the original story? Yes. But it is still not what the story about. It is a story about friendship and kindness, positivity and courage in every situation they are met with. So why do you give out this negativity about the prince and the supposed love story that only appear in the movie for like 5 minutes? The animals even have more screen time than him. And in those 5 minutes, he is a completely gentleman and definitely not a stalker. He is not. And then, about the second main character of the 1937 movie, the dwarf. Why do they replace the important character that appear on half of the 1937 movie to CGI character, the ugly one? Perhaps they cut their screen time off at the shoot because no one will want to pay for the movie to see this CGI nightmare for half of the screen time. But if they cut the dwarf down, then the core of the story will change too. And according to the title, it will be focused only on Snow White. And from what Disney feed their actress to the PR, it seems like so. And it is fine if that is the story they wanted to tell. Telling a different story, taking a new perspective for this new live action, it is completely understandable for wanting to do that. But they should have done so without so much disregard and misunderstanding of the 1937 movie. To me, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is never about a love story. Not when Snow White only mentioned about love twice in the whole movie. When the people making a blockbuster movie did not bother to research or respect the source material, how do you think it will make the audience feel?
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again. So I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years.
Disappointed!
Not to mention, the drama it came with made everything even worse. It's like watching an opening of a restaurant that have employees are screaming at each other on the front door. At first, you are intrigued by it and probably stick around to watch as it unfold. But then, as time goes by, it is just exhausted. At some point, you just avoid the whole play together. It does not matter if the restaurant is good, not when they have so many other different restaurants to choose from. So that is my personal opinion. What do you think about this?